Good morning, everybody. Welcome to today's episode of Market Check, brought to you by Because Bitcoin. We are finally concluding a week in which we had a very important CPI print, as well as today, where we have, of course, the quad witching currently underway. It's a big day for options, both in terms of kind of for us to, I think, maybe unpin volatility over the next few weeks, but also no, I would say that is pretty much the importance of of the quad witching here, and because we have so much volume coming off the board today, right, in equity land, it's probably going to have a meaningful impact as far as the way that we trade going into Q4. September's and seasonality are often something that people kind of harp on, and there are a lot of different reasons for why that is, right? It's not just September being very frequently a red month isn't necessarily just a meme, in the same way that December often being a green month or January being a green month are, that's not a meme. There's a lot of reasons that are kind of behind that. But yeah, all that to say, I mean, we have the backdrop of the quad witching today. I expect that, today's price action, as well as, kind of what we see next week, will tell us a lot about what to expect coming up. And I feel as though we're getting close at this point to some very juicy swing trades, whether you feel that may be to the upside or whether you feel that may be to the downside. I know people on this panel are a little bit divided on which direction that is. A lot of people that I respect are very divided on, where they feel the direction is for the next big move. I'm sure if you guys have tuned in regularly, you've heard all of our opinions on kind of why that is, and we'll touch on more of that as the show goes on. So I won't spend too much time talking about that, but just some things I'm observing across the board, right? I mean, we have so far had a rejection on risk assets to start the morning, right? I look at Bitcoin pulling back a few hundred points, nothing extreme yet, but the type of pattern that we painted yesterday is the type that looks a bit like stairs up, elevator down potentially. So I would kind of want to see bulls step in here if I were bullish Bitcoin, just based on the fact that it did kind of seem as though we were slowly grinding up towards resistance. So I wouldn't want to see a big rejection from that level, which is essentially range high, as well as basically our previous month's VWAP level as well, which is very important, obviously, given that last month we had that huge nuke. So yeah, I think all that to say, it is decision time for Bitcoin, and thus it is probably decision time for a lot of these altcoins that have been looking very weak against Bitcoin, not just against Bitcoin, but against their USD pairs as well, pretty much all week. What does downside in Bitcoin look like for these assets? Well, I know everybody on this panel is a lot more confident in downside for alts right now than they are for Bitcoin, because I just feel like the high time frame structures kind of warrant being so until proven otherwise. But yeah, no, I mean, let's get it open up, guys. We've got some early risk off rejections across the board. Is this just kind of noise for OPEX, or are we, taking? Maybe we need a little bit more time to answer that question. What are our early conclusions here for the quad witching? And of course, would love any conclusions you guys have kind of for how this week has gone.
I don't feel as convicted in where I think equities are going to go because I don't know enough about quad witching, and I don't want to pretend like I do. So this could just be a weird volatility event, and who really knows? I'm kind of waiting to see what Ken Griffin has up his sleeve for the afternoon session. You never know. See if he walks this thing back up or we just keep going straight down. But it's definitely nice to see risk bleeding sort of as expected. I would still contend it's in a very weird spot for equities. I'm waiting to just kind of see what happens here. I feel a little bit more convicted with crypto that altcoins, like you mentioned, Tommy, altcoins, they have a date with much lower. Bitcoin, I think, can be a little bit more stubborn here, truthfully. So, with something like if you're interested in trying to play downside, I don't see why you would try to play Bitcoin. I did try to play Bitcoin the other day, and I got taken out of that position. I'm still hanging out in my alt shorts, thankfully. But, Bitcoin has the opportunity to, I think, even range, maybe break down a little bit, take out some more lows without really sliding. And if Bitcoin is sitting on the edge of a cliff, we've seen this time and time again. If Bitcoin's sitting on the edge of a cliff and it looks nasty, altcoins are going to absolutely nuke. Alts don't even need Bitcoin to nuke to lead the way. They just need Bitcoin to feel uncertain. So, anyways, I think a lot of altcoins look bad. Tommy, I really appreciate you're using Solana as sort of a gauge for the rest of the altcoin market, because I think it's been a really solid tell. Where Solana was actually green today and started to sell off, and I believe is now red. Yeah, it looks like it is red. So we'll see what Solana does. I mean, if Solana goes on to make a new low, I think it's going to drag the entire altcoin market with it. So, anyways, I'm staying away from trying to play Bitcoin right now. I think it's going to be the toughest ticker to play, especially given my bias with Bitcoin dominance being probably straight up for the immediate future. But yeah, altcoins look questionable at best. So,
thanks, Max. Will, Tucker, what are we thinking?
Go ahead, Will. Go ahead.
You can go ahead, Tucker.
All right. I mean,
you guys are so polite. Wow.
I know, right? I mean, like I said earlier in our morning Discord call, I mean, I think Sol just looks like another underside retest. I mean, you could even say that, I don't know. It just likes to do this, I think. It just likes to kind of underside retest previous demand and flip it, and that's what it looks like it's doing again. As we've talked about, Sol does seem to be leading the market to some degree. It's interesting. OP is pretty green. It's 2% green. It is. I haven't even touched this chart in a while, but it is showing some resistance at 1.4. But I don't know. It did get sold off a lot harder than other assets. I mean, I don't know. I agree. Like, altcoins look pretty weak, right? Like, they just none of their structures look great. Bitcoin, I don't know. I like the stairs up, elevator down reference, because that's literally what it was, right? Like, we just ground up into range highs, right? Like, into range highs and nuked out of it, right? So I don't know. Here's a better graphic of it, but I think if you're bullish, you got to hold 26K. Like, you gotta hope for like a sweep of these lows right here, and then consolidate and go. Personally, I don't think it's going to happen. I think we probably nuke, but it is OPEX. It is a quad witching. We have, I think it's the largest September OPEX in like the last couple of years, I believe. I don't know how much is actually coming off the board, but I don't know. It's probably going to be a nightmare intraday, especially on equities. Like, I wouldn't be surprised if they even like save this a little bit. Where's my thing? If they even save this, this is the Ken Griffin special, right? Like, so I don't know. I'm not going to make any predictions on equities intraday, but I think on a higher time frame, you could say it failed to break down right in there, but you could say the same thing for upside. I think this 3-day candle closes in 9 hours today, so I don't know. I think it looks pretty weak. And then you take all that and you add the lunar confluence, and you just conclude that it's over. So that's where I'm at with it. I think lower. I think we could chop today for sure because of the things going on in equity land. But yeah, I think on the higher time frame, next few months, I think we trade lower. But
so, Tucker, you're telling me that you're rock pilled?
I'm rock pilled, man. I'm rock pilled. I don't even need to go through it all, but like, if you literally just,
oh yeah, we've talked about it plenty. I just wanted
top. Yeah, like, it's not even.
I just had to make a joke.
It
came to me. It came to me. Will's outlook. How you doing, man? How are you interpreting this little sell that we've had in risk assets so far this morning?
I'm waiting for the lunar eclipse of when Mars and Jupiter align, and the sun blocks out the sky.
That's smart.
and then the new.
Hey, I got to see that one time. I got to see a total solar eclipse one time.
Same here. Yeah.
It was awesome. Yeah, it was very cool.
Did you guys put the glasses on?
They made us use like tinfoil or something when I was a kid. I think I forget what it was. We had to look through like something that would like block out the rays.
Yeah, that was wild.
Had to use some sunglasses. I don't even remember what I used, but that was cool. But anyway, sorry for interrupting you.
No, you're good. You're good. No, I was just playing. I was just joking. Share screen. So I want to share something. Yes, high time frame. I get it. All right, but we have to discuss it.
The 10-month chart, Will.
This is the 5-year every candle chart. Okay. No shit. It's a monthly.
Hey, by the way, it looks like you're lagging a bunch, Will. I don't know if that's just on my end, but I'm seeing your mouth moving different than the words.
Yeah, it's a slight lag, I think, but it's fine.
Okay.
I'm trying to look to see what I can turn off. Hold on a second. Let me know if it gets better. Oh, yes. What about now? Is that better? Testing?
I think so.
I mean, we can still hear you, so it's fine. But
yeah, no, it's cool.
It's just a little weird.
Yeah, I don't like to see somebody talk and then hear the words 5 seconds later either. So I get it. But you guys can see my trading view, right?
Yeah.
So the one thing I wanted to point out, and this is kind of important for me, at least from a context perspective, right? So one thing that's kind of odd is the stochastic tends to kind of roll over near the high, right? So the minute you start to get lower highs on the stochastic, you're kind of cooked, you're kind of topped. And then once you get those lower highs, the stochastic likes to play into the low range. Now, granted, I want to be very, very specific on this, all right? You don't know where the bottom is down here. There's no freaking way to know, because the second you rolled over, you were like here, right? And then you bounced back up and you kept rolling. And so I'm not using this as an indicator to tell me where the bottom is, to where I can buy, right? Down here. But I am using this more as an indicator to tell me where the market has reversed out of the move, right? So if we pay attention, we laid down here all the way across until here. That's where we started to veer up. We never attempted to move out of the zone. We just ran straight across until this position right here. Once we hit this monthly candle, you could have bought anywhere in here. You could have even bought in here, right? Came up, rolled back. You had your black swan, right? Roll back into your position. But what happened to your stochastic? It never came back down, right? It never came back down until the next bull run was over. So once we come over here and we look at it, again, this is like your second month in, right? Boom, right there. Now, you had a little bit of an inverse, but I think that was more due to FOMO versus and money injection versus actual top. This should have been, in my eyes, the top, right? This should have been the top of the market. But the money injection caused the market, and this is what I think a lot of people are going to get trapped in the next bull run, because I think it's going to be a straight up and straight down. I don't think it's going to be a double top like it was over here. Is they're going to get caught into believing that this reversal can happen again, right? But the reality is once you've kind of got that top signal, you need to understand where you are in the market. You can see it right here. Once they kind of rolled under the 50, they rolled back up, and it created a new top, right? It created more liquidity into the market. But once you got down here, again, arguably, once you got to these lows, your bottoms are marked. And now you can sit there and you can play boom, 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 straight across. Look, straight across, and then breakout right here, right? Now, this doesn't mean that we can't roll back into these lower areas of liquidity, right? Because we did it over here. We did it right here. Now we can call this black swan. We can call whatever. You want to know what I think the black swan was? And that's what a lot of people are not being honest with themselves about. I think your black swan is basically this, right? That's your overreaction to your black swan. This was intended. This was already built into the charts.
Talking
This
about
pullback.
COVID?
Yeah, well, yeah. Can't say the word. Can't say the word. But yeah, the C word. All right. We don't want to get demonetized. So the C word happened down in here, right? Whereas the chart pullback was as intended, right? Now, arguably, I'll give bears this. I'll give them this leniency, right? The leniency is top marked here, aka where I think we marked out right here. We can call it there, right? And then you have your roll back into the move, right? So if you have your roll back into the move, you're going to roll back into here. And again, this is all momentum, right? It's all momentum. So you go up, you come down to blast off again, right? So you get your momentum play. Ignore this. That's your bottom tick, market bottom, right? Arguably, I would say bears have that in their favor because if that plays, we're coming back to like something like right here, right? 1920K.
Well, okay, yeah, I was going to ask what that is.
It's going to come back to that range. It's going to come back to that range. And once it comes back to that range, that's where your boom goes, right? Now, it doesn't have to occur.
It's such a big range, man. It's like,
yep,
from top to bottom, it's thousands of dollars of spread, you know?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, but if you look here too, look, 299 down to like what, 100, 177. That's arguably, you know, from a liquidity standpoint, that's arguably almost the same amount of percentage drawdown if we were to look at it. So if we were to do like a drawdown percentage here, and we were to look at this from that perspective, and I were to go, okay, what's the drawdown here? You know, you're probably somewhere in like, that was not. I don't know why TradingView has something where it's trying to be sticky. About 50%, right? 50% drawdown. So if we came up here and we were to do and Tucker, we did this the other day. We were to do drawdown percentage. You know, we'll be modest. We'll give them a modest drawdown, 30%. Right? That's a modest drawdown. That'll bring you to 1920K. Now, the real question is, we are not 1920K Bitcoin, but it would be $800 billion market, $850 billion, right? Which means alts are completely obliterated. They're through the floors, right? Because I don't think most of that would come out of Bitcoin. This is total market cap, by the way. This is not Bitcoin. So I think what a lot of people are not doing is they're not entertaining this, but I don't think a lot of people will pull the trigger here either. I really don't. I think only savvy money will be buying in, and all the retail will tell you how it's going to come down and revisit lows, or it's going to come down here and it's going to go lower and it's going to retest these lows, and that's your retailers. So they're going to wait.
You think they're going to pump CZ's bags?
Well, no. So arguably, I'll give you the directionality. Look, up in the pullback, right, into up, and again, we're doing the same thing over here. And some people will say, well, you had the pullback here. No. That's this pullback. That's your pullback here, right? That's your pullback there. That's your pullback there. So that's your pullback there. Then you get your up, which has already occurred. And we're going to get the pullback. This could take a really long time to play too, right? Pullback and then a breakout. Now, the reason I wanted to entertain this for retail, because I think there are a lot of retail who watch these type of shows, is that you should not be scared to buy here or here on Bitcoin, right? If I were retail. But if you're looking at altcoins, the difference here could be your altcoin coming down to the 100-200% from entry.
Yeah, I mean, there's the thing to highlight is there's altcoins out there that, for one, will never go on to make a new all-time high. Probably not even get close, and two, are probably not even within 80% of a bottom before this is all set.
This needs to be addressed. I mean, we are retail, right? Like,
well, I'm not speaking from the aspect of us not being retail. So
you are retail.
Technically, who's Daddy 7 is correct. Technically, yes. Yes, you are correct. I appreciate you calling.
Now you can differentiate between like experienced and inexperienced retail.
Yes. Yeah. That's so. I guess more of what I meant is your average retailer doesn't know how to read support and resistance, right? Your average retailer doesn't know how to read momentum.
Comment, man.
That's
a hilarious comment. You are retail.
Your average. but your average retailer is not. They don't know how to do anything. They just know how to buy and panic. That's it, right? Buy and panic sell. And
we're self-proclaimed analysts whose daddy said it. It's way different, all right?
Yeah.
We have a YouTube show.
Well, I wouldn't say that, but yeah. on the analyst side. But nah, I mean, I guess maybe I shouldn't have said that.
No, specifics, but I mean, there needs to be another class. It can't just be retail or professional, right? It's like
we'll call it dumb money, we'll call it educated money, and we'll call it smart money, right? I would say we're probably educated money, and then there's smart money, which they just have more money than God, and they can move liquidity, right? And then you have dumb money, which is your average retailer, right? So
I mean, here's what it is. Like we are professionals in the sense that we do this for a living. I think you could just say you do trade professionally, you know.
I mean, yeah, I just think of like
professional,
institutional versus non-institutional, right? Like
either or. Okay, yeah. The context still stands, right? The context still stands. Your average person who cannot read a chart will not buy in these liquidity areas. That's basically what I'm stating. Like once they see price come down, they expect more down, and they continue to wait. They continue to sit. Where do they typically buy? Well, they typically buy anywhere's. I would say a lot of them probably buy, or at least last market probably bought in here, and a lot of them bought up here. And this is why the break below 30K made sense, right? Consolidation is your retail. That's your retail getting involved, or your average retailer, we'll say, right? Your average retailer is getting involved in your consolidation ranges. They're not getting involved here because they don't believe this. They don't. Well,
you gotta buy when you gotta buy when the chart looks like trash, man. That's kind of like the key in crypto for high time frame spot investing. Exactly. It's just like find where you're most uncomfortable and then just buy. That's
great.
I mean, it's a little bit more complex than that, but generally those are the emotions you should be feeling. But let's talk about this. I like this comment. First of all, I like this comment. And then I like this comment. And then I like this comment. We had like a back to back of good comments from you guys. What do you guys think about alts that are already obliterated? You think it won't reach close to all-time high? Depends on which one. I'm sure some of them will. Do you have any, Peter, do you have any alts in specific that you're curious about? Because it really depends. It really depends on a lot of things.
I mean, he's involved in one of the most elaborate crypto projects out there. That would be Algorand, and yeah, we're gonna see all time.
Algorand is probably not reaching an all-time high. Sorry to tell you.
Oh man.
Yeah, I'm some of these altcoins that are already just obliterated. I've been looking at them and I'm just thinking to myself, like, man, can these really? Like, I was looking at Blur, Blast from the Past. Blur is down horrendously. It's at like 16 or 15 cents. And I don't see any reason why it doesn't just go to zero, because the FDV is still like $600 or $700 million.
I mean, if we're going to talk about Blur, why don't we look at something like Moon River, right? Moon River's just, there's nothing left to sell. Who can sell?
Oh, we
right? I think you gotta be careful about just buying because it's low, right? Because some of these things, I mean, if you go back, look at the last cycle, like some of the coins from 2017 did not come back at all, right? So
I feel like Jasmine is like the normie trade. I hear a lot of people talk about Jasmine, but I never hear them talk about the.
Dude, I don't even know what Jasmine is.
I don't either, bro. I don't know what that is.
I've only ever traded that ticker at Pico tops, man. That's the kind of altcoin that it is.
But I do. I want to.
What does it do? What is it? I don't even know what it is. I don't think I've ever heard of it, unless we talked about it on the show.
I want to.
Just down only, honestly.
Yeah, Jasmine is a Coinbase coin, so I think that's probably why I asked, but. I wanted to reach back to what Snorlax was saying with
hang on. This needs to be shown.
Oh man.
This is Jazz.
Is this a Sam coin?
I mean, This is what I'm talking about. This is why you don't just buy it because it's
Hold on. Pull up the RSI. Let's see.
Will.
Hold up. Before you
No,
pull up
I
the
just want to
RSI.
see. I just want to see.
Before you pull up the RSI. Guys, thank you so much for being here on your Friday, September 15th, quad witching day, whatever that means. I'm not going to pretend like I truly understand what that means. But thank you guys so much for being here. If you guys are enjoying the content so far, please consider liking this stream. It really helps the robot at YouTube headquarters take a liking to us. And as a young channel, we greatly appreciate your guys' continued support day in and day out. So just a quick reminder, if you haven't yet, please consider liking the video. It really helps the channel grow, helps boost the stream, and thank you guys so much again for being here. Back to Jasmine, whatever Jasmine is. Yeah.
I don't know. I wouldn't call it. I wouldn't call it. No. The only reason I wouldn't is because price is following the RSI, right? Like you got the higher low on price, you got the higher low on RSI. Like this thing could easily roll back over. I wouldn't be involved in this. I just not interested.
I mean, yeah, no, I wouldn't either for sure.
I think I have some actually, but I wouldn't be buying. Right, like
I'm longed it on perps at one point this year, and it was like basically at the top.
No,
I've only ever longed it, I think, like 2 or 3 times, and every single time was right near a local top in the market.
Somebody asked about Sol BTC.
I think we're going to get a triple bottom on Sol BTC. I don't know if it'll take. Yeah, I was going to say I don't know if it'll take that long, but
we're going to deviate.
Single digit Sol.
Tommy's going to buy me a juicy ribeye.
No, sir. You're going to be buying me one.
Single digit, guys. I'm telling you. I'm not going to promise you because I don't do those things, but I'm telling you single digit.
Yeah,
I don't know, man. I think I'm fine with $10.01. That's fine.
Yeah. That is good enough for him to win the bet.
You're fine with $10 flat.
Yeah, I'm gonna put up a huge buy wall at $10, man. You're not getting through.
I'm gonna get slipped to get below the buy wall just so I can
just so it slides into it and then pulls back
out. Take a huge loss on slippage just so that you win the stake.
Yeah, there's your target.
Nah, I'm not going below that, man.
No, that's the date of the end of the bet.
I can't believe that Tommy made that bet, man. He's gonna be such a nice steak. I'll let you out of it right now for a pork chop. You don't have to steak.
I'm insulted. I'm insulted.
and he's gonna buy it and cook it just to save some money.
And Solana's in a downtrend. I'm insulted. That was like the bookie offering you a cash out on like a $100 bet worth $20.
Yeah.
You know what the funny part is? Like
it is.
I always see people talk about like similar prices, or they'll say, "Oh, it's going to $8-9." You never see a buy from these people when it gets in those ranges. Like you'll see people on Twitter all the time, and they will talk about price, and you'll never see a purchase from them.
I'm convinced a lot of people on Twitter don't even actually trade. I don't know. It's just a theory of mine, man. A lot of them don't really act like they trade because people that are trading don't talk like that. At least not the ones that I know.
They don't.
Yeah, I think like a lot of these people, they just kind of like stumbled across CT one day and they're like, I think I'll hang out here and wreak havoc. You know?
I'll hang out here and wreak havoc.
Like for no reason.
I do have a thesis though for Bitcoin, an old chart here. You guys want to see it? It's on good old Binance.
Is it Binance Spot US, Will?
Oh yeah. No, it's not.
Right.
But so it's regular Binance, all right. Okay. Against US dollar. So I drew this a long time ago too. I actually forgot about it. But so far, it has played. Like I did deviate below my range low, which was this one, which is where I was watching. Ran below, got back above, came back down, retested, came back up, retest. And now it's like, okay, what are the expectations here? Because I would expect if we were going to break through, it'll have to be this month to reverse, right? So September stays where it is. And then if we're going to nuke, it's going to be the next month after retesting the high, comes back down, hits the low. And then at that point, you can get a reversal, right? And this I guess it could happen in all one candle, right? But this right here was my thesis then. And this is kind of like, so far it's playing, right? Like arguably you could say we are here, right? Because that's how the chart looks. It looks like, those two candles right there are very much matching. But you could also argue the point to the bull side that this right here and this right here is simply a reason for a continuation. And the next month they jump rather than drop. Doesn't mean we're going up here, by the way. I'm just kind of iterating direction, right? Not price.
It's it's hard to be overly bearish into a very clear level of support. But sometimes it just feels like the support is very thin. It's like the Cheeto in the door meme,
My favorite one.
It feels like, yes, we are at support. Yes, we could bounce here. But it certainly feels like, will the Cheeto actually hold? I don't know.
As long as nobody knocks, you're fine.
I'll tell you on Bitcoin, I'm not really looking for more than like 22, 23. I feel like at that point I'm largely on the sidelines for now.
Yeah, they could very easily push into this, because then you're just pushing the high here and you're pushing the support here. So yeah, that's not a bad spot either. And I like to use high time frames because it clears all the noise, right? Like a lot of people they like to just go straight into the 4 hour, and I'm just like, look at your high, and then like as I've created levels here, you can then drop it down to your weekly, kind of see where your weekly lands from there, and you can see, okay, yep, looks good on the weekly. I like this price set on the weekly. Look at it from the daily. Now, one thing I do want to point out, I think this is very important too. I think this is very, very, very important. So one thing that I noticed is like in this area of liquidity, right? We had this drop. We have nice controlled pricing right here, right? Essentially, it's very controlled, highs and lows. And that's what you want to see if you're looking for any type of reversals. You want to see controlled pricing. You want to see price kind of play into a range, and you're looking for a downside, then you're looking for a breakout right here. Whoa, did we lose everybody?
I don't know what just happened.
No,
Max
I'm here.
They got tired of listening to me?
No.
I'm just joking. But we basically had a controlled price, right? And then you played under the mid range right here, which was kind of odd. And then you dropped down, retest the low, came up, retest the low, and then breakout. Now, one thing that I'm noticing over here, and now granted the liquidity is a little more thin, right? It's definitely more thin. That's a very obvious position. Is that you're kind of like right here, right? When you're looking at it from a chart pattern standpoint. And it's like, okay, at what point will we be looking for this? Or are we looking for some kind of breakdown? But I think this is a controlled price range pattern, which for me, if it's controlled to the upside, I'm full bear, right? I've seen it play out too many times. I'm not getting played in those type of moves. But this would be my full bear case. So if that's the case and we're playing to the downside, I would expect that this thing is going to simply chop, 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 and it looks very similar to kind of like when we were over here, right? Chop, 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 and then boom, a big breakout.
You need a headline. That only happened because of the headline.
No. I agree. No, I agree that you need a headline, right? But all they got to do is keep price controlled until that headline comes.
I think there's way more negative headline risk right now than positive. Like what headline would we get? Like obviously if they randomly approved an ETF, like left curve it and ape, but beyond that, like I don't know what. Like that's what I was pointing out the other day, is that people are saying like we're right there where you're pointing to, but like there's no reason for us to impulse like that without a massive headline.
Could be, but I don't listen to news. I watch charts, right? I don't care what the news says. The chart tells me the news before the news comes. So like when I look at it from that perspective, this is controlled price range for me. Like if I were looking for more downside, I would be wanting to see the opposite. I'd be wanting to see them continue to build long. And if they were building long, I would expect some kind of systemic breakdown to occur. And we saw that up here. And this is what kind of made me kind of know what was going on up here, is because you did have really controlled price range to the upside. And basically everybody got trapped, right? Everybody got trapped. You had an easy to see trend, boom, 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 control price, and then you take it away, right? Boom. But first, they come into a consolidation range. After a big wick, you know the wick's going to get filled. This is where people are expecting some kind of reversal.
That's where we are right now, brother. Boom. That's where we are right now.
There's no wick over here.
Huh?
There's no wick to fill.
There's the Bybit wick at 24.2, and then there's the 19K wick.
You got 24.8 right here. That's it. And then you got the 19, which is on higher time frames.
But the ghost wick on Bybit is there. It's there, and it's a problem.
I don't subscribe to ghost wicks.
Pull up the Bybit chart. Pull up the Bybit chart.
No, I know what you're talking about. I've seen it.
I mean, bro, they're not gonna let that. They're not gonna let that lie.
If that's the case, then let me find it real quick. Hold on, I'll find it. And I guess we're filling this too.
Binance US is not relevant. Will.
All right, guys. Tucker said it. He said the wicks matter. So
Will, if you're gonna be using the Binance US charts, then you need you need to use the Binance US charts where we wick to 8K.
I'll see you guys in a few months. It's gonna be here.
We'll fill that eventually, I bet, but it not because of that chart.
After here, we come back down to 8K, and then we buy in here again. All right,
and then it goes to 0. And then we go back to McDonald's.
Oh man,
yeah.
I love
fill the wick and then go fill the bottom wick, man.
Go ahead and highlight who's daddy. I love when people judge other people's charts, and they're like, "The chart's so ugly." Look, I wear different clothes than you two. Okay, this is how things are. Everybody views things differently.
I try really hard to just get like because I find when I have too much, it can be interesting because like as you get deeper and deeper into a trade, you can just start like leaving drawings on as kind of past biases, and you just build up stuff on your chart. I hate having a dirty chart. I love like a clean. It's like even to the point where I'm starting to just delete horizontal levels because I don't need them. Volume is more important.
Yeah,
like I don't need to draw. I really don't need to have any noise on my chart at all.
This right here, though, I will say this was your systemic breakdown, right? That was your breakdown move. That was the obvious move after your 3 drive pattern. And so I do recognize that as a position too. I know that it may sound like I'm just being
bad. That chart looks bad.
Oh, let me
you draw that on there.
Oh, I just got to keep it real though. Like I'm not one to come in here and just come in with one bias. I want to be obvious about everything, right? So like you got that move, you got this move here that we just talked about, which is like your high time frame.
Yeah, look at that one. Look at that one you just drew. Look at the consolidation after it broke.
No, I agree. I
mean,
yeah. But you came up and you retested and you rejected fast. We came up, we retested, and now we're running sideways.
Right? I mean, how long did we? I'll find it. How long did we run sideways after we broke that?
Oh, we as soon as we rejected, we just dropped.
No.
Yeah,
I'm gonna measure it.
Look right here. As soon as you retested, you dropped. We already retested.
Hang on, brother.
I think that's the type of retest though that you don't just complete with one retest, right? I mean, look at the example that you showed, Will, where we broke down. We technically probably retested that on 2 or 3 different daily candles back in spring 2022.
Well, that's my exact argument though, Tommy, is what I'm saying is like I don't think this is like this is the bottom. I think this is probably another retest, right? Into another drive down, and this next drive down pulls in.
I think if you get all the way up to what is that 30K again,
that's a structure break.
that you're probably
you have resistance. You have resistance up there. Like it's not hard to see either. Look, I can pull this all the way across.
I feel like the grayscale wick would already be the rejection. I don't see why we would need to do that again.
No, I'm not saying we need to do anything. What I'm saying though is the way this chart's building out sideways, it's making me think this is what they're going to do. You see what I'm saying? Like I'm just basically following momentum, right? At the end of the day. And for me, momentum is in favor of upside to down. Before down, we can
momentum
even say, right?
Favors that
right now, the way the chart's building.
Again, I don't know that I agree with you necessarily on that. Because I see the daily that you've pointed out with the RSI, but I'd counter with something like the 4 hour, which has been in a pretty clear downtrend since the top that we formed in mid-June.
Well, you see this low right here, right? Let me show you something. What do you see there on the RSI?
I don't know. You'd have to zoom in.
Yeah, I can't really see
here
it.
To here.
What, the line?
If we were to just take this straight across, what do you see right there?
Support for RSI.
Support for RSI. Okay.
What, we
I don't
deviated
really
it?
think the RSI like that. So
what I'm trying to show, or what I'm trying to indicate is if I just mark this out, I mark this out, I mark this out, and I mark this out. What do we see in the chart?
I mean, it's typically marked bottoms, but what I'm arguing is a high time frame trend shift, which would be willing to and perfectly able to make new lows on the RSI. So I don't really feel like that's been invalidated, but I'd adhere to there's a reason I closed my shorts out on that big wick was for that reason, because I figured at the very least we were going to go sideways. Immediate continuation after a move like that was probably unlikely. I agree with you on that standpoint. Like the RSI was very oversold, but let's not ignore what being oversold represents. And I know you know that, Will.
I know. I'm not arguing that position either. That's why when people are like, "Oh, the stochastics on the bottom," it's like it can remain at the bottom. It doesn't matter. Like that portion is irrelevant when it comes to stochastic. I just like to use it to measure against where. So if I'm in the middle on Bitcoin, and I'm on the bottom of stochastic. I'm like, all right, we still have room. We can bounce, right? But if I'm on the bottom and I'm on the bottom, I'm like, oh, we're more than likely going to bounce, right? Your probability is much higher. Whereas if you're at the top and your stochastics at the bottom, it's like they can run it up a little bit, but like this is going to dump. You're done, right? Like, and that's how I like to use these, I guess, kind of in a way that kind of plays them against each other. Is like, where are you at here versus where are you at here, and then where are you at here too, right on the chart? Are you running high? Have you been running low? Like, what's your indication on Bryce here? One thing, yeah, and I wanted to point that out too, Tommy, is the one we talked about this morning, and I think it's a very interesting one also. And then you guys can give me your case too. Is that trend specifically, right? And really that trend set the bottom for Bitcoin on the bull div right here, right? That's your easy to see bull div, point A to point B, right there. And so if we were to get rid of all this stuff on here, outside of those 2 points, and we were to just say point A and point B, that was essentially your bounce right here on trend. This was your run up, and then you had to come back to trend. And now, arguably, you are sitting here running right here, right? So do we break trend? Is that the expectation, or is momentum still in the favor of the chart? That's really the question here. Arguably, I'd say as long as we remain above here, it's still in the chart, but you can give me your perspective on that.
I don't know if we've spent enough time here for me to be in the camp that this is the double bottom yet. Like, I still think I would need to see probably a bit more sideways before I get really bullish. Especially because, Tucker was pointing this out this morning. We have the some of our higher time frame candles like the daily and the 3-day, where they just have these wicks that go up and they've gotten sold into. And I feel like it's representative of selling pressure above us and heavy supply. So I don't know. I think I don't know. I feel like it hasn't really gone sideways enough for me to consider its strength more than just kind of a bounce driven for mechanical reasons. But I mean, I would say it's decision time, because you're either going to invalidate the weekly RSI that we're putting in, or you're going to squeeze. It's like one of the two, and you can only grind into resistance for so long before you do end up squeezing. So I will say, I think we're going to get clarity on it pretty soon. But Tucker, what are you thinking?
I'm thinking if we close below my little green MA again, that it's completely over. I mean, dude, look how many times we've rejected this 200 on the 4-hour. Like, I mean, and when you did it last
looks
time,
like a trend shift.
Huh? Yeah,
it looks like a trend shift.
Dude, this is what I was doing. Kind of like with yeah, there we go. There we go. Take off price. Just look at the MAs. Let's take off the 12 and 21 even. I mean, I don't know, man. I don't know.
Could go either way. I would say that it looks to me like it's losing momentum, but it has it quite literally has to hold this level. Yeah. Will, what would it take for you to flip to the bearish camp? Like what level specifically?
You go below 25K and you hold there. I think if you close there on a high time frame, weekly, somewhere's in there, right? Like you're going to drop. I think you'll come down, you'll retest, you'll probably come down to like 23, retest 25, maybe 25.5. Everybody will be like, yeah, it's back up, look, guys, you wrong. And then it'll roll back over into 19, right? That would be my bearish thesis here. So like I do have a game plan for both sides. And this is something I've discussed on the show pretty, I would say pretty consistently. Is that, if that were to occur, I have a plan for that play. To take shorts at those positions, because obviously I'm looking for liquidity when I'm doing those type of shorts or longs, either one, versus trying to say, hey, we're in a bull market, a bear market. Like I think a lot of people get those two kind of mixed up. They like to say bull market, bear market, bull market, bear market. That doesn't matter in trading. Up and down is just a direction, and that's
who cares about being right. I just want to make money.
Yeah,
right. That's it. The job of a trader.
Yeah, your job is not to call bottoms or tops. Your job is to identify momentum and whether it's going in one direction or the other, and play on that.
I would say if you can't get back above here soon, you're probably cooked, right? I mean, you had the headline that impulsed you above, but
that's my thesis too. Because here, let me present you guys a different scenario. Go ahead and draw a head and shoulders, right where we're at.
Let me get rid of all this.
But is that really a head? It's like equal. It's like a double top.
It is higher.
About this before on this show.
It is higher.
What? There you go.
No.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying.
You know what I'm saying. Shoulders.
No, man, this shoulder is way too. I don't know about.
What do you think is going to happen over there?
What on
It'll
the right?
rip and bleed back into support again. You look. The one thing I will say is never miss the opportunity to identify 2 points on 2 different areas of liquidity that are at exactly the same support.
Where's my range? There it is. Yeah, this is it. This is what I like. I don't know. I mean, you could argue, yeah, you're still up in this upper bound range, but I think this gets filled regardless, man. I don't think.
No, that's what fills it. That's what fills it. Like, here, throw me the chart really quick.
You think you do this?
No. Just give me the chart, and I'll show you.
You can just click on your thing, and it'll switch it.
What do you mean click on my? I don't think I can do it on my end.
I got you.
So what I'm thinking, because I'm going to point this out for the audience. This is what I saw the first time. And I have the post. I have the freaking post where I posted this. And I said, boom, 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 boom. Right? And that is exactly what played here. Right?
I mean, it should have gone way
down,
higher,
boom,
right?
drop down. Look, we can't expect always that price is going to be to the degree of always being a perfect left or right arm or a perfect head, right? This is just chop range in the head. That's what this is right here. So we came down, and yeah, expectations should have been higher, but we're in a bearish market, or a market that is uncertain. So your upside is going to be capped, whereas your downside is significant. And so if we were to look at it in the same context over here, and we were to say boom, 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 retest same zone, right here, and then you come back up and you drop, and then now expectations are, sorry, I should draw this down a little further. Expectations are at this point, how far down do you come? Well, I would say when you're looking at this from the perspective of a head and shoulders position, and you were to drop this here, where's your liquidity zone? Right in there.
19?
Right. And yep, 99 fills the entire wick.
I mean, I think we go down there without putting in the right shoulder. Being honest.
I'm just entertaining.
I like that area though. Like we agree that that's going to get filled. It's just whether or not we go up or down to get there first, right? So
I'm feeling the entertainment of and giving the thesis of what I think is going to play here. And again, this is simply a squeeze to push people into no confidence on the short, because that's what they did here in 19K. Like short, that's not actually, you're muted.
If we put in a third shoulder and distribute that long, we are not stopping at 20K. Like we're gonna make new lows.
Yeah, that's yeah.
Nah, man, you got to acknowledge the head and shoulders ends when the head ends.
I think if we broke from basically, what would that be, like a 9 to 10 month distribution range over 27, 28K, I think we'd probably nuke to new lows.
I mean, this is still before the halving. This is still before the halving. Look, having to over here, what? Right around May. Boom.
I mean, we can nuke after the halving, right? Like we did it in 2015.
We can. Yeah, I'm just stating, like, if this plays here, that will be your next bottom, right? That's your low. And then from there, you'll probably consolidate, chop, and then break out. It's just these head and shoulders have just been more apparent, I think, in these areas of liquidity than a lot of people have been wanting to acknowledge as far as price goes. But like, even if you break it down to lower time frames, like now it's much more clear here, right? And we're already catching the bounce here. We did a very similar move. I talked about this a little bit ago. We did a very similar move right here, where it just basically channeled down, control price action down, and then, kind of rolled into the move. And that's exactly what we're kind of doing right here, right? We're just channeling down.
It's not really price action down. I wouldn't really call it controlled.
Highs,
like
lows.
You had a huge dump and then volatility died.
Same thing here. There was a massive dump right here.
We wiped out way more OI on like the dump a month ago, though. I mean, the dump a month ago wiped out like $1.5 billion in longs, which is not a small feat in this market.
I mean, that's an 8% drop, right? Come over here. We got to what, a 9% drop roughly?
We did it in one candle, though.
Yeah, I mean,
we
did
controlled, in my opinion.
The 3 candles, 1 candle, 1, 2, 3 candles. That's 3.
Yeah, but that was not a controlled drop. That was a nuke.
No. Look, the nuke is not the controlled part. The controlled part is the highs and the lows, right? You're controlling the floor and the ceiling. And you're continuing to, you're basically continuing to manipulate price between 2 price zones that now become identifiable by a pattern, right? And then you're manipulating price between 2 price zones that are now being identified by a pattern. And if you look here, like we're starting to pull away from that pattern, right? So if we get above here, came back down and retest, I bet nobody expects upside. And then at that point, we get up here to the shoulder and then maybe distribute for a little bit or whatnot, just like we did here, just like we did here and over here. And then maybe wick up above, come back down, roll below, and then kind of roll back into the zone, puke again. People get super bearish here, or they get super bullish because they continue to see the support here. And then at that point, they nuke again, right? And that's something very similar over here that happened with a lot of people with Bitcoin, is they got trapped up here because they came into this belief that price could not go below 30K, right? They built the confidence here at the floor to tell you, oh, it ain't going below. It ain't going below. It ain't going below. And then what did they do? Rip, dip. Now, over here, they're doing a very similar pattern, right? They created support. It ain't going below. It ain't going below. It ain't going below. And then when you come back into it, nobody's going to believe it'll go below again.
Does that not look to you like we've broken down from trend on RSI, Will? Looking at it from here.
From the perspective of the lower time frame, sure. Daily definitely does. But daily resets are a lot different than higher time frame resets. Right? I would arguably say, yeah, we could say it broke below trend, but we also came back down below value. So it's kind of like a double whammy.
I would call that value. I would just call that really strong momentum. I don't know that I agree with that classification.
So value in different people's eyes is different things, right? So for me, when I state value, I mean traders start to step in, right? Because they're like, oh, this is there. I'm going to play off of this 30, right? There are a lot of traders that play off the 30, and they play off the 30 bounces or 24 or 25, whatever their expectations are, especially data analysts. They love these ranges because they understand the overextension will create some kind of hyper move, and they'll just scalp it out. They'll scalp these zones. And the scalp is what brings in the drive to the upside. And then you get real bid after a certain point. But I don't know. Like, it is what it is at the end of the day. Like, this is just my thoughts with a lot of this.
I think below 25, like, honestly, at this point, if we get back below that level, there's a really big short there. I don't think it's just going to stop at 23K. I think it goes lower. So it'd be a really great swing trade depending on what your bias is. But, I think either of these swing trades are going to be huge winners when you look at where we're at on the chart, right? I mean, it's a major inflection point. It goes without saying. We've been talking about a return to 25K, I think, for like 3 or 4 months now. So we're finally here. I'm curious to see how we actually react, because I'm pretty sure we drew out like the scenario where we pull back into this level and eventually melt up. And then we also have the scenario, obviously, where we kind of just like knew through this level. So I'm curious. Before we wrap up here real quick, let's take like 5 minutes to look at the dollar, Tucker.
Yeah, let's do it. Where's the dollar?
And the euro as well.
Yeah, okay, let's just put it on. Let me go here, actually. Let me do 2. I want your USD here. I don't want it's a line chart. Okay, let's just put them on the daily. All right. Okay. So, yeah, I mean, we drew that one, right? That played. I think, yeah, there's one. I think you got to get above there. The euro. I think, yeah, if you lose this area, you're done. You're dusted. It's over.
The euro looks really rough.
Yeah, it does. I mean, it's been downtrending since July. It's gone straight down since July. So, I don't know. Kind of looks like Sol. That's just
good old Soy Lana.
Soy Lana.
What's our buddy Sol doing right now?
Yeah, I wanted to point out too, like, and this is something we're completely in agreement on. I'm very bearish on alts right now. Like, I think alts are not the place to be playing right now. I think, like, if anything, like, if you want some kind of stability, and I don't even know how much that'll be, it would be Bitcoin if you're looking at an ecosystem from a liquidity standpoint. And we talked about this too the other day. I think Snorlax was a lack of liquidity basically being an issue for whales being able to step in on a lot of these, just because they're going to take major haircuts on basically trying to step in front of these on Dexes or CXs or whatever they're trying to buy on, especially when you're talking about from a slippage standpoint, right? They're going to end up with 30-40% losses trying to enter some of these with size. So there's no point in even trying to enter them because they can end up being exit liquidity at that point.
I mean, dude, how much does this look like this? Man, look at that.
Yeah, but we also entertained the conversation too, Tucker, right? Don't forget that they triple tap that high, right? And they done it multiple times. So like this, even though this thing could roll over, they could run it right back up.
I mean, that's fine, honestly. That's a 12% move down on Sol from here. I mean, that's Bitcoin. That's Bitcoin probably at like what, 25K again.
Yep.
That's fine with me, man. That's fine.
Yeah, if Bitcoin were to nuke today back to 25K, not any lower, just to 25K, I'm pretty much in the camp that most of these alts will form lower lows.
For sure.
Again.
For sure. I mean, yeah, I mean, I'm short from like 26.5, so like 25K would be great. That's fine with me if we do that. But I don't know. I think we've all just got pretty good entries on some of these weak alts like Matic, so it's not even a conversation of whether to hold it or not. It's the Bitcoin short for me that is a little precarious, but I'm really
Why are you trying to short Bitcoin so much, Tucker? Why not ETH if you're that bearish on crypto and majors?
Yep.
I mean, dude, ETH, you're right. ETH could nuke so hard if Curve blows up.
It will. Like ETH will nuke to like Goblin Town if Curve goes down. I don't want to scare anybody, but it will definitely gig a nuke if Curve goes down.
Not just ETH, Lido. Lido would get
Lido would go to zero, dude.
ETH is a real concern, honestly, because not all of it can withdraw for multiple years. And then I wonder, like, if you do have a call for collateral across DeFi, how much of that collateral is literally illiquid because it's locked up in staked?
Probably.
The other problem is too, and it's one of the coins I've been the most bullish on, would be Arbitrum. Arbitrum will get obliterated from that. So will Polygon. Like all these layer twos are going to get smoked if ETH even gets a little bit of that.
Dude, ARB is putting in fresh blows daily at this point, right?
I thought it would hold that strength it had against Optimism, but that pair came out overnight.
Yep.
I don't know if you saw that, but
I mean, yeah.
Oh, dude, I dropped it the second I saw them breaking against each other. I was like, oh, this is not good.
Yeah. No bueno.
I don't know what OP's doing, but
I mean, granted, I think there'll be good entries, and I think ARB has good technology. It's got a lot of TVL, but like, it's not the go right now. It's just not.
No. All right, guys, what do you say? Good to call it here. We've been running for a little over an hour.
Yeah, I want to be clear though, because like somebody just asked about Tron. I'm talking altcoins across the board. Doesn't matter if it's Ethereum, Tron, Polygon, like any of these. Like a Bitcoin pump's going to create a pump for them, but they're going to drop again. Like there's no demand on the altcoin market. There is demand on Bitcoin, at least semi, right? But if you're looking at altcoins, I don't know.
Well, you look at
what is Tron doing?
What has a positive catalyst coming down the pipeline? And it's really hard to see one for crypto without new liquidity coming in. When I speak on crypto, I mean like altcoins and Ethereum, right? Bitcoin has a potential spot ETF that could draw in huge amounts of liquidity to Bitcoin. Specifically. But
what is this?
As far as altcoins and crypto go, it's a little bit of a harder for me to envision a pump in the immediate term.
Going parabolic.
You want to see the most detrimental chart I've seen yet? Pull up XRP.
Oh, Jesus.
Do XRP on the USD, because I actually don't think this looks like that horrendous.
It's almost retraced the entire move.
Oh,
yes,
it has.
that looks horrendous. But the XRP Bitcoin chart actually does not look as bad as you would expect it to.
That's because of that pump. That's why. Like I don't know, man.
It's been bottoming. It's been slowly bottoming.
The fact that it came back and ate that entire move, it's not confidence for me. It's really
it's not confidence, that's for sure. But the pair doesn't look wrecked. It's not making new lows like a lot of these other coins.
But it could.
It could.
It very well could. Yeah. Especially after retracing that whole move, it could. Yeah, I'm just being realistic. I know some people are going to get butthurt about it because a lot of people that are like XRP maxis, like they're Bitcoin maxis. But I mean, what's your win to loss ratio here? You know, like XRP has been down more than it's been up.
Yeah, I don't think it has the beta still for me to be super interested in it. But I mean, I know a lot of people who are, so I figured.
I know there's a community. I know a lot of people talk about community, but community doesn't bring money, right?
Liquidity.
Look, I can have my own we'll say my own area in the city where I call it what do they call those sectors where you live and like you take over, and like I forget what they're called, but there's certain area. So like what is it?
Parasite?
No, parasite.
Say it again.
So like some of these cities were taken over by like these people, and they call them like
migrants
or whatever. No, not migrants.
I think I know squatters.
Yeah, they're kind of like squatters, essentially, right? But like not it's not a squatter, but it's like these people that have like governed themselves, right? They say they're not part of the city or whatever, they're not part of the US, but they govern themselves and they took
over the like sanctuary city.
No, well, that's not sanctuary, but like it's the people that are in those areas, right?
Yeah, I know what you're talking about.
Yeah. But those types right there, that's what I consider communities, right? They're broke, they have no businesses, and there's no way to distribute anything. But they're all together. They're happy, right? They're happy because they're together, but they have no way to pump price. And that's what I try to tell people when they discuss community. You need a community of buyers, not a community of bag holders.
You got to have both.
There's a big difference.
Yeah, there is a big difference.
You got to have buyers willing to be bag holders is what you need.
Buyers willing to be bag holders.
Yeah.
Oh, man. People always think there's some kind of switch from one hand to the other. It doesn't always work out like that with everything.
All right, guys. Well, I think we got to 33 likes last time I saw. Let me refresh the page real quick. We got to 34. We got 37 people watching right now. I would love if we could close at 40. Really appreciate you guys for tuning in today. Just a reminder, if you enjoyed the conversation and you want maybe a bit more of an intimate look at how we're positioning and how we're kind of viewing the market, we do have access to some of our premium channels. And well, not access, you have to sign up and all that good stuff, but linked in the description of this YouTube bio, as well as the link tree of our Twitter. I'm having a bit of a tongue twister this Friday, but very much appreciate y'all for being here today. As always, shout out to our regulars, the BB and the Giga Chads. We will be back on Monday. And of course, we'll be hosting a space later today, another episode of Market Talk with Wabi. Y'all make sure to tune in for that. Looking forward to continuing to talk about markets and pray to God we get some clarity, right? Whether it's a pump or lower, I just want some volatility at this point. I'm starting to go a little bit stir crazy. I'm not going to lie, but that's enough for me. Thanks again, guys. We'll be back on Monday. Have a great weekend. Oh, let's go.
So I do want to bring up. So what they're called is autonomous zones.
Yeah. I remember that.
Self-governed, no money, no nothing, but they have their own portion of the city.
There was one of those in Max's city, right?
I think so. Yeah.
Maybe.
So. I'm sure he'd be able to answer if he was on the call, but try not to wander into one of those this weekend, guys. Take care of yourselves. We'll see you on Monday. Thanks.
Thanks, guys.